Have you ever noticed your legs just don't feel the way they used to? Maybe they feel a little weaker going up the stairs, or you find yourself sitting down more often because they're just tired. Not sore from a long walk, not overworked, just tired. And when you go to bed, maybe you feel the odd twitch or a cramp that wakes you up out of nowhere. You tell yourself, well, I'm getting older. That's just how it goes, right? But what if I told you that isn't entirely true? You see, there's something most doctors don't mention unless you ask. Something silent, sneaky, and surprisingly common in folks over 60. Nutrient deficiencies. Not just any deficiencies, but ones that slowly rob your legs of their strength, coordination, and vitality. And the scariest part? These deficiencies don't shout. They whisper. They creep in. Until one day, walking to the mailbox feels like hiking a mountain. Until one day, a small stumble turns into a fall. Now, I don't want to alarm you. I want to empower you. Because here's the truth. Many of these issues are fixable, reversible even. If you know what to look for and how to support your body the right way, you can regain energy in your legs, reduce pain, and move more freely again. And today, I want to walk alongside you, like a good friend, and talk about the 5 most common nutrient deficiencies that are putting your legs at risk, and what you can do about them. Let's begin with one that often flies under the radar. Vitamin D. I know, you've probably heard about it for bone health. And that's true, it plays a huge role in keeping your bones strong, especially as we age. But it does something else that doesn't get enough attention. It helps your muscles contract properly. That means every time you lift your foot to take a step, stand up from a chair, or steady yourself when the sidewalk is uneven, vitamin D is working behind the scenes. Without it, your muscles weaken. Your reflexes slow. Your legs feel shaky. Now here's the kicker. Our ability to produce vitamin D from sunlight drops as we age. Even if you walk outside every day, you might still be running low, especially in colder months, or if your skin doesn't absorb sunlight well anymore. That's why many seniors are deficient and don't know it. Some just feel off, a bit more tired, a bit more clumsy. One woman I spoke to, 73 years old, said she thought she was getting dementia because she started falling more. It turned out she was just severely low on vitamin D. The good news? A simple blood test can reveal your levels, and with your doctor's help, you can supplement safely. Foods like salmon, fortified milk, and egg yolks help too. But let's be honest, most of us aren't eating enough of those daily. So don't ignore that little voice telling you something's off. Your legs might be trying to tell you they're low on D. Now, let's talk about another key player, magnesium. Think of magnesium as the quiet helper in your body. It helps with over 300 processes, and your muscles are high on that list. Without enough magnesium, you might feel cramps at night, twitching in your calves, or even that strange sensation where your legs feel heavy or uncoordinated. I remember my neighbor George. He's 68, retired from construction, always strong as an ox. But lately, he'd been getting these strange spasms in his thighs. Not painful, but odd. At first, he chalked it up to age. But then, during a checkup, his doctor noticed a magnesium deficiency. A few dietary tweaks and a supplement later, those spasms, gone. And he's back to gardening without a second thought. Here's the challenge with magnesium. Processed foods strip it away. And unfortunately, many seniors eat more processed food than they'd like to admit. Not because they want to, but because it's easy. It's quick. But that convenience comes at a cost. Leafy greens, nuts, seeds, even a good bowl of oatmeal, those are your magnesium friends. And if your digestive system doesn't absorb well anymore, which happens as we age, a little extra support might be needed in the form of a supplement. The next time your legs ache for no reason, Don't assume it's age. Think about magnesium. It could be your body asking for a little help. We've talked about vitamin D and magnesium, two vital nutrients your legs rely on. But what about vitamin B12? This one hits a little different. B12 doesn't just affect your legs, it affects your entire nervous system. It's what helps send signals from your brain down to your feet. So when B12 runs low, those signals get weaker. That can mean numbness, tingling, even balance problems. Ever feel like the floor suddenly shifts under your feet? Like you're walking on pillows instead of solid ground? That could be B12 talking. The tricky thing is, B12 deficiency doesn't happen overnight. It builds quietly. And for those over 60, especially if you've ever taken antacids or diabetes medications, your body may not absorb B12 properly anymore. Even if you eat meat or dairy, it might not be enough. I once met a man, 75 years old, who walked with a cane because he thought his legs were just getting old. His doctor checked his B12 levels, and they were dangerously low. After a few months of B12 shots, not only was his balance better, he was walking without the cane altogether. His mind felt sharper too. B12 can come from foods like eggs, meat, and dairy, but for many seniors, a supplement or even a monthly shot might be needed. And it's worth checking. Because when your nerves aren't firing properly, your legs can't respond the way they should. That makes walking, driving, even standing in the kitchen riskier than it needs to be. You've made it this far with me, and I hope by now you're realizing how powerful this knowledge is. Your legs don't have to feel weaker with age. You don't have to accept fatigue, cramps, or falls as your new normal. There are still two more silent culprits we need to talk about, nutrients that many people never even think about, yet they quietly erode the strength and coordination we rely on every day. So we've already talked about vitamin D, magnesium, and B12, three nutrients that your legs absolutely depend on to stay strong, stable, and pain-free. But we're not done yet, because there's another silent thief that might be draining your leg strength, and chances are you haven't thought about this one in years. Potassium. Now, I know you've heard of potassium before, maybe from a doctor's visit, or maybe you just associate it with bananas. But here's the thing, potassium is crucial for muscle function. Without it, your muscles can't contract properly. And that means weakness. It means cramps. It means that odd, shaky feeling when you try to stand up too fast or climb the stairs. I'll never forget Mrs. Evelyn from our senior fitness class. She was 79, sharp as a tack, full of energy, but always complained about her legs feeling like jelly after our walks. She was eating healthy, staying active, doing all the right things. But something wasn't clicking. Her doctor checked her potassium levels, and sure enough, they were too low. Once she adjusted her diet to include more potassium-rich foods like sweet potatoes, spinach, avocados, and even a few dried apricots, her energy came back. Not overnight, but steadily. Her legs started cooperating again. And here's something that surprised me. Many blood pressure medications, especially diuretics, can actually flush potassium out of your body. So if you're taking something to manage your blood pressure or heart health, you could be unintentionally depleting this essential mineral. That's why it's so important to have conversations with your doctor, not just about the prescriptions you're taking, but also about what they might be removing from your system. Potassium isn't just about preventing cramps. It plays a huge role in how steady your legs feel. If you've ever felt wobbly on your feet, even when you know you've had enough rest, your potassium levels might be worth a second look. And no, bananas aren't the only option. A warm bowl of lentil soup, roasted butternut squash, or even a baked potato can help replenish those stores in a natural and delicious way. Now, let's turn to the final nutrient in this quiet but dangerous story, protein. Yes, you heard me right. Good old-fashioned protein. You might think, well, I'm not a bodybuilder. I don't need that much protein. But here's what most people don't realize, especially as we age. We lose muscle mass faster than we think. Starting in our 60s, the body becomes less efficient at repairing and rebuilding muscle. That means even small dips in protein intake can lead to noticeable weakness over time. Think about this. If your legs are made of muscle, and they are, then protein is the building block that keeps them from shrinking and sagging. Without enough of it, you lose strength. You lose stability. You start walking shorter distances, sitting more often, avoiding activities you once loved, not because your spirit isn't willing, but because your legs can't keep up. I met a gentleman named Harold. He was 82 and had always been proud of his independence. Drove himself to the store, mowed his lawn, even helped out at church every Sunday. But over the course of a few months, he noticed he couldn't stand up as easily. He started using a walker. At first, he thought it was arthritis, but his joints weren't the issue. It turned out he was only eating 2 small meals a day, mostly toast, soup, and tea. Hardly any protein. When he started incorporating more eggs, cottage cheese, grilled chicken, and even the occasional protein shake into his routine, something amazing happened. Slowly, his legs got stronger. His energy returned. He told me it was like coming back to life. And this isn't just about meat. If you're vegetarian, there are plenty of wonderful plant-based options like beans, lentils, tofu, even quinoa. The key is consistency. The body can't store protein the way it does fat. It needs it every single day to rebuild and maintain those precious muscles in your legs. So here's the heart of it. Your legs are your freedom. They carry you through your day. They help you move, reach, dance, walk beside a loved one, step onto the porch to feel the sun on your face. They are more than limbs. They are your connection to the world around you, and they deserve to be protected. When we talk about silent killers, we're not talking about drama. We're talking about slow, subtle changes that erode your confidence and independence before you even realize what's happening. But the beauty of it is, once you know, you can do something. You can take action. You can give your body the support it needs and feel the difference not in years, but in weeks. Start with small things. Add a handful of almonds to your breakfast for magnesium. Take a short walk at noon to boost vitamin D. Ask your doctor to check your B12 and potassium levels at your next visit. And maybe, just maybe, treat yourself to a hearty bean soup or a spinach omelet. Not because it's trendy, but because your legs deserve to feel alive again. This isn't about chasing youth. It's about honoring your body for all it's done and giving it the tools to keep going strong. You've come a long way in life. Don't let a simple deficiency steal your stride. Now that we've talked about the 5 silent killers, those sneaky nutrient deficiencies that quietly chip away at your strength, it's time to take a breath and really let this sink in. You might be feeling a mix of emotions right now. Maybe surprised, maybe concerned, maybe even hopeful. And that's a good thing, because knowledge is power, but only when it's followed by action. So let's not just know this. Let's do something with it. I want to invite you into a little exercise. Picture yourself 6 months from now. Same house, same porch, same familiar neighborhood. But something's different. You're waking up, and when you swing your legs over the side of the bed, they don't ache like they used to. You stand up with confidence, no hesitation, no wobble. The steps to the kitchen feel easier. You pour your coffee, and instead of dragging your feet to the recliner, you feel like stepping outside for a morning walk. That future, it's not a fantasy. It's a possibility. And it starts with understanding that your legs, the very things that carry you through life, are not just tired or old. They might be undernourished, depleted, asking for help in ways you hadn't recognized before. Let's talk about what this really means, because when we say your legs are in danger, we're not using scare tactics. We're shining a light on a quiet truth. For millions of older adults, leg weakness, pain, and poor balance are the result of deficiencies that could have been caught and corrected earlier. But you're here now, and that means something. It means you care. It means you want to feel better, move better, live better. And that brings me to something deeply personal. A few years ago, I visited a friend's mom. Her name was Irene. She was 81, lived alone, sharp-minded, loved her puzzles and old jazz records. But her legs had become her prison. She moved from bed to recliner to bathroom and back. Her world had gotten so small, not because she was lazy or even because of illness, but because her body was starving for support. She was low in vitamin D and magnesium, severely deficient in B12, and hadn't had a full meal with protein in weeks. Once we got her some support, a simple supplement routine, a few changes to her grocery list, and a weekly visit from a physical therapist, things began to shift. Within months, she was walking again, slowly but steadily. Not just physically, but emotionally, she came alive. Her eyes were brighter. Her voice had more life. Her legs, quite literally, carried her back to herself. I share that story because it's not rare. It happens in silence, and it doesn't have to. So what can you do? Start by tuning into the signs. That twinge in your calf, that unexplainable stumble, that numbness in your toes or cramp in the middle of the night. Those aren't just senior moments. They're signals. And if you've been pushing them aside, brushing them off, telling yourself it's just part of getting older, I want to gently challenge you to look deeper. Ask yourself, am I getting enough protein every day, at every meal, not just dinner? Am I spending enough time in the sun or taking vitamin D if I'm not? Am I eating whole foods, rich in potassium and magnesium, or just convenient ones? Have I ever had my B12 levels checked, especially if I've taken antacids or diabetes meds? And then, not tomorrow, not next week, today. Start with your next meal. Add a hard-boiled egg or a scoop of Greek yogurt. Pick up some spinach or canned beans on your next grocery run. Make a note to ask your doctor for a simple blood panel. If your legs feel weak, speak up. If you feel wobbly, don't just reach for the nearest chair, ask why. You've probably spent decades taking care of others, children, spouses, parents, even neighbors. You've carried the weight of responsibility, of worry, of making ends meet. But now it's your time. Time to care for yourself, your health, your mobility, your dignity. Because this isn't just about avoiding wheelchairs or walkers. It's about standing tall, about being able to walk your granddaughter down the aisle or play with your great-grandchild in the yard. It's about taking a spontaneous trip with friends or strolling through the farmer's market without fear of falling. It's about freedom. And I promise you, when your legs feel strong, your whole life feels different. You feel more capable, more confident, more alive. I want you to feel proud of every step you take. Proud of choosing to take care of yourself. Proud of doing the hard thing, the brave thing, of facing reality and deciding it's not too late. Because it's not too late. I've seen people in their 70s, 80s, even 90s reclaim their strength and vitality. All it took was attention, intention, and a little support. You don't have to do it alone, and you don't have to do it perfectly. Just start. And if this video has helped you in any way, if it sparked a thought, encouraged a question, or gave you a nudge to take action, please let me know. I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Share your story, your struggles, or even a tip that helped you. You never know who might be reading, who might need to hear your voice. And if you'd like to keep learning how to stay strong, stay sharp, And stay connected. Hit that like button and subscribe. We're building a community here, one step at a time. A place where age isn't a sentence, it's a badge of honor. Let this be your turning point. Not a day of regret, but a day of renewal. Here's to your legs, your health, your independence. Here's to walking strong, living free, and standing tall at any age. And most of all, here's to you,